This week, we were planning on doing an episode devoted to the sixth season of Saturday Night Live, but we opted not to do it this week because, in case you hadn't heard, Fred Silverman passed away earlier in the week. He passed away, or at least news of it came down the line about 2 days before taping, and we thought it just wouldn't be in good taste since Fred Silverman was a key piece of that whole installment. And we've said a lot of questionable stuff about Fred Silverman in the last couple of months, but also at the same time, we've given him praise. He was very polarizing depending on which side of the fence you're on. We here at It Was the Thing on TV, we wish the best to his family and friends in this time of suffering. With that, we're going to start the episode proper. Episode 28, Submission 113, Cheap, Cheap, Cheap. Cheap, Cheap, Cheap aired on Channel 4 in the United Kingdom from August 14th to September 22nd of 2017 for a total of 30 episodes. Greg, do you remember back on episode 1?
Yes.
Yeah, do you remember how we opened that episode? It's like it just happened a couple of days ago. Greg, you got your Hollywood Squares in my match game.
Mike, you got my match game in my Hollywood Squares.
Two great tastes that taste great together. Greg, you got your game show in my sitcom.
Mike, you got your sitcom in my game show.
It's Miller Boyette meets Mark Goodson. Is it a game show? Is it a sitcom? ¿Por qué no los dos? In case you haven't noticed, we're probably going to imagine that there are laugh tracks and other audience cues because Cheap, Cheap, Cheap is not your ordinary game show. For one, it takes place in, I don't even want to call it a supermarket. What is this?
It's a general store.
It's a general store.
It's like the half of the Cracker Barrel that you don't eat at.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it's hosted by Noel Edmonds. And if you don't know who Noel Edmonds is, the best way to equate him as an American equivalence would be probably Dick Clark or maybe Ryan Seacrest if he continues for another 10 or 15 years.
Or you could just go back to the Doctor Who Dimensions in Time episode of this podcast.
You could.
Yeah.
But we didn't really give like a whole rundown on who he is, but he has hosted everything. He's hosted music shows. He's hosted game shows. He's hosted kids shows. He is like a true celebrity, a superstar in England, to the point where he's created a character that was reasonably popular about 30 years ago named Mr. Blobby. He also created this show. We'll get to that in a little bit as to how it sort of came about. And also he was even known, believe it or not, when Live Aid happened in 1985.
Yes.
Do you remember that Phil Collins played in both the London and the Philadelphia Live Aid?
Yes.
Yeah, he flew the Concorde from one to the other.
Right. Yeah. Noel Edmonds drove Phil Collins to Heathrow Airport to get there.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Man, that must be in a deleted scene in the Bohemian Rhapsody DVD of Noel Edmonds trying to drive Phil Collins while Freddie Mercury is performing on stage.
So what happened, going back a little bit, is Noel Edmonds, he hosted the British version of Deal or No Deal for over 11 years, from 2005 until literally the end of 2016. I think the last episode was after Christmas of 2016, but before New Year's of 2016. So literally the last week of 2016. And so he had this idea for a show which combined a game show with a sitcom. And it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be really fun, combining a game show with some sitcom interludes and stuff like that. Didn't we sort of see that with Burt Ludden's Love Buffet?
Yeah.
But this is better than Burt Ludden's Love Buffet.
That's not saying much.
It is, but slightly. I sort of like Burt Ludden's Love Buffet because it was from the people who brought you future episode Nightstand with Dick Dietrich.
Oh, yeah.
Burt Ludden's Love Buffet, I do believe, is also on the list. So, good job to those folks that did those shows. But it wasn't that much better. It was different, and more or less, it wasn't just different, it was weird. So, Greg, back in 2017, you had sent me a tweet about Cheap, 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 and it actually sort of compares one of your favorite shows. Can you share that tweet with everybody?
Yes, it's from a gentleman called @MichaelM.Physics on Twitter, and this was the week that Twin Peaks: The Return was airing its last 2 episodes. And the tweet read, "Don't worry about Twin Peaks ending. We've still got Cheap, 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 the second weirdest show on telly."
I wonder if Noel Edmonds had 30 super jackpots.
Do you think Noel Edmonds was the force that guided Dougie Jones to the mega jackpots at the Silver Mustang? He was in the red room with the man from another place who merged into that weird tree thing, and they were guiding Dougie Jones to the slot machine.
I just want to know what Noel Edmonds' coffee and pie is like. What, don't they serve coffee and pie at the Cheap, Cheap, Cheap shop?
No, they didn't have any sort of food there. It was more or less a general store. It didn't have food in terms of being sold there. They didn't have like a cafeteria or a luncheonette or anything like that. It was like
no wonder it was open for only 30 days.
Well, it was also like just an old-time general store that had just general merchandise. But also, since they had a sitcom, it wasn't just a general store. There was a small audience of about 10 or 12 contestants. There was no studio audience. There was just the 12 contestants, which, if something wasn't really funny, that sort of showed because you don't have a laugh track going on. So about the game itself, we'll get to the game and then we'll get to the comedy side, or the sitcom side, air quotes around comedy, because it wasn't terribly funny. So the game itself was very Price is Right-like in terms of you've got 3 items, and the idea is you just have to identify which one of the 3 is the cheapest. And like almost every game show since like 2005 or 2000, you have a money ladder. The money ladder on this show had 8 steps, and the money ladder was as follows. 250 pounds for the first correct answer, 500 for the second, 1,000 for the third, 2,500 pounds for the fourth, 5,000 for the fifth. The sixth is worth 7,500 pounds. The seventh jumps all the way to 15,000 pounds, and the last one is 25,000 pounds. Now, there are no safe zones here, so you're always risking your money. However, again, just like about most game shows since 2000, you have helps, lifelines. Now, when you played the game, you had to make the decision whether you want to go on beforehand. So you're sort of blindly saying, we're going to go on. You don't know what could come out. You didn't know if it might be a really easy one or a really hard one, something you know a lot about or something you researched. So one of the helps was you got to see what the 3 items in the next question were. So that helps you out quite a bit there, especially if you're in the higher levels at like 7,500 or 15,000 going for the next step. And then there was a help to get rid of the most expensive item, so that'll narrow it down to 2. And the third help was that one item's price would be revealed. Now, again, you don't know whether it's the cheapest or the most expensive or in the middle, just that you could choose an item to see the price of. But also, these helps didn't get activated until you got that first 250-pound situation out of the way. Now, the products themselves, they ranged from, as we said earlier, food items. The first item on the game was actually baked beans. And you had different things like candles. You had coffins. You had coffins. Yes, they did coffins.
This just got dark.
Well, it isn't Your Price is Right with how much is the stick of butter, or which stick of butter is the least expensive.
So coffins did. Man, where was Paul Bearer when you needed him for this show?
So anyway, the coffins.
I love that sold that joke.
So yeah, the coffins. They actually had coffins in the studio, and actually we're going to get to that a little bit, because one of the highlights of one of the episodes was one of Noel's assistants, who we're going to get to later as well, was trying out the coffins, as if that isn't morbid and creepy. But they're just different puzzles of varying difficulties. And again, the idea was just find which one is the cheapest. Not terribly difficult. It could be, because sometimes the difference was only a couple of pounds or a couple of pence when you're talking about stuff that's less than a pound. So you might have a difference between the middle price and the least expensive item of, say, 5 pence. When you're talking about like the cost of postage stamps, which I believe was actually the topic of the sole $25,000 victory on this series. Somebody did go to $25,000, and believe it or not, when did it happen? On the last episode.
That's not crazy at all.
The last episode had a 25,000-pound win. There was a stamp involved in the 25,000-pound question. What it had to do is you had to guess which was least expensive: a stamp, a small loaf of bread, or a little carton of milk. And the milk was the cheapest. And they won the $25,000. And all the people in the audience, all 10 future contestants or wannabe contestants at this point, since it's the last episode, come by, congratulate the pair that won. And so do the staff members, if you will, the fellow actors.
Oh.
Yeah, and also I should add, since I didn't mention it, 2 people played the game. So this wasn't a solo game. This is 2 people, friends, or a mother-daughter, father-son, father-daughter, brothers, siblings, what have you. They would play the game and presumably split the money. But also another interesting thing is the money, and I don't know if it was prop money or if it was real money. Any money won.
Money.
Well, it might be real. Because remember, England doesn't take out taxes on game show winnings. So it could be real money going out the door. But so they actually pulled the money from the till of a cash register. Because again, they're trying to sell the whole general store gimmick. There's an old cash register, and the store manager, who we'll get to in a little bit, takes the money out of the till. The money is all bundled up like if you're going to a bank, and he just hands the stacks of bills to the contestants when they leave. But now the sitcom side of this. The game itself, very rudimentary. You mix in the sitcom element, and then you get why we're here talking about this.
Oh, yes.
There were actually 4 employees who helped out. You had Barry, who was played by Alex Lowe. He was the general manager of the store. And actually, he was like running the store when Noel, quote unquote, bought the store on the first episode. Noel comes in and, you must be you must be Barry, the manager here, and Barry's very aloof. And one thing that Greg noticed, and whether this is on purpose or if this is real, he has the worst teeth ever.
Oh, yes. He is like the stereotypical British person with very horrible teeth.
Yes. And then there was a health and beauty and lifestyle expert named Mariana. Imagine the word marijuana without the U in the middle. It's Marijana, played by Gabby Best. And she actually lived in a flat above the general store. So
how convenient.
Yeah, she was never late. She's very personable, very frequently on the show. The reason I say that is because the next cast member I'm going to mention, she had a tendency to always be late. I'm talking about Kelly, who was played by Emily Lloyd Saney. Kelly was habitually late. Always late. Very sort of lazy, with all due respect. Kelly's role within the store is she was just a sales assistant. But you almost all the time you saw these pink headphones around her neck. Always jamming out to music. Yeah, work is secondary when she's around. Yeah. And then last but not least, we have the store handyman named Keith, who was played by Keel Smith Bino. And Keith, he was sort of like the hardest working person at the store. Again, he was like the maintenance man, the person that did everything. But there's one thing he doesn't do, and he doesn't do roofs. He'll do anything at the store, but he won't fix the roof. He even wears a jacket that says that. Keith's odd jobs. No job too big, no job too small, except roofing. I don't do roofing. That's on the back of his jacket or his vest.
Okay, so, now you said Barry. Barry was the general manager of the store.
Barry was the general manager of the store.
Barry is actually also the name of a character that Alex Lowe created for Steve Wright's BBC Radio 2 show and Talk Radio's Ian Lee show. It was actually Barry from Watford.
Yes, Barry from Watford, and he actually has a podcast.
Barry from Watford has a podcast.
Barry from Watford has a weekly podcast, The Angelos and Barry Show. I wonder if he talked about this. Now I got to go on my device and look for the Angelos and Barry Show and see if he reflected about cheap once.
Oh, I have it right here.
Oh, no.
Hold up.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
Apparently, they are the same people. Barry from Watford is the general manager of Noel's store in Cheap. This, according to Truth by Consensus Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'd assume he has the same accent, and he has the same bad teeth. Again, whether it's part of the shtick or if that's his natural look, who knows? I don't want to necessarily say I don't care, but yeah, again, that's part of his shtick is the bad teeth.
Meanwhile, Emily Lloyd Saney, if you're a subscriber to Prime Video, she is on 3 episodes of Catastrophe with Sharon Horgan and Rob Delaney.
Wasn't one catastrophe enough?
I have no idea.
I'm talking about cheap.
Oh!
Wasn't one catastrophe enough?
Oh. Greg, I'd like to report a murder.
I just killed cheap. No. But again, there was a sitcom side to this, and there were some anecdotes in every episode. There were backstories, like the time that Keith tried his hand as a camera operator and it didn't go so well, primarily because given the size of the studio, Keith was backing up the camera and he backed up too far.
Oops.
Uh-huh. There was and actually there's an episode guide, believe it or not. Not really a thorough episode guide. So episode 1, Noel opens Noel's store for the first time. And contestants try to win £25,000 while manager Barry and his staff ensure there's never a dull moment. Okay, if you say so. Episode 2, delivery man Keith gets caught up in traffic. Barry and Noel try out a tandem ride and do a mother and daughter and know enough about mini rolls to win cash. So right there's 2 more items we didn't talk about. They had bicycles as one of the items. Tandem bike. I think, well, there's at least one tandem bicycle. It might have been a tandem bicycle and like a mountain bike and a BMX bike. But yeah, there were bikes on there. Mini rolls were an item. And we're going to get to more of the items as we go down this list here. Episode 3, brothers Ollie and Johnny hope to take away thousands from Noel's store by knowing their takeouts. Jordan and Manda want just enough for a new car. Here's the way I told you earlier. Mariana tries a coffin out for size.
Oh.
And what the coffins were, one was like really fancy, and one was, I think, basically like a refrigerator box, not even kidding, cardboard. And I think like the third one was like a coffin for a dog. I'm not even joking when I say that. And the weird thing is the most expensive item was the coffin for the dog. The least expensive, obviously, was a cardboard box. But yeah, that was one episode. She tried out a coffin. Episode 4. Oh, this one's great. I'm going to say the first 6 words, and I'm going to wait for Greg's reaction. A bird leaves an unwanted deposit.
Oh.
I don't know what to say about that.
He took a poop.
Yeah, I get that, Mike.
So yeah, a bird leaves an unwanted deposit in Noel's store. Noel worries about the takings, and Lionel and her mother hope to pay off her student debt by winning £25,000. They actually did have live animals there. There was like a duck and a goose. I don't remember exactly what types of birds they were, but they were live birds, presumably as pets, but I'm sure at some point you could have used it as dinner. But yeah, a bird left a little thing on the table, and guess who had to clean it up? Not Keith. Noel Edmonds had to clean it up.
Oh.
The
Anybody want an empty bird?
Noel's worth tens or hundreds of millions of pounds, and he has to clean up a bunch of bird crap.
Noel Edmonds, ladies and gentlemen, always willing to give to the cause.
Episode 5. 3 toilet seats provide a 2,500-pound conundrum, and Barry demonstrates his spider-catching technique, and Wayne Sleep calls in to complain. They did have celebrities generally on the Friday episode, so they had like 6 celebrities. Nobody really, I think many of us would know on this side of the Atlantic, but known to the United Kingdom population. Episode 6. One couple risks going solo. Keith tries out a new delivery vehicle, and there's confusion between some nuns and Ollie Murs.
See, I know who Ollie Murs is.
Ollie Murs, if you know some UK pop culture, is not unknown. He's a very popular musician. Oh, also, former contestant on Noel Edmonds' Deal or No Deal. No joke there. He was on, I think, in the first year or two. Yes. Episode 7, Kelly shows off her gymnastics skills. Keith gets everyone a takeaway, and contestant Steve gets all emotional over pies. Because who doesn't get emotional over pie?
Yeah, who doesn't get emotional over pies?
You ever had the Fayetteville Pie Company? It's a chef's kiss of Popeyes, let me tell you.
You know who doesn't get emotional over pies, guys?
Greg, you got your sitcom in my game show. No.
No. You know who doesn't get emotional over pies?
Who's that?
The Rock. And you know why.
Why?
I know why.
Mike got it. Mike got the joke.
Because you can smell what the Rock's cooking or something like that.
Yes. There's something else about pies, but I won't say it on this show. That's for dang sure.
No.
You got to wake up pretty early in the morning to fool me there, Grego. All right.
Thing on late night TV.
Episode 8. Bobby Davro gets devious with Barry. Oh my God! Here's another one that, and again, this just shows the total lunacy in what you might see on this show. 3 dog outfits could be worth thousands, and Noel has a problem with swans, not related to the bird that took the crap on the table in episode 4. Episode 9. Keith gets stuck in the lift. Kelly has a
no.
Yeah, he got stuck in the lift.
Like, can he fix it?
In the lift?
You can fix a lift while you're stuck on the lift.
Noel's
Maybe.
got the money. He can afford to get somebody to help him out.
There you go.
And we talked about perpetually late Kelly. Guess what? She has a car crash.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's even later now.
Oh, that's
And Barry shows off his dad dancing.
Oh.
Oh, that's a sight I don't want to see. Barry dancing.
I can get you the episode. And Kate and Alexis's cheese knowledge can win them 25,000 pounds? Question mark. Episode 10. Kelly gets some fire training. Two ladies develop a crush on Barry. Ooh, maybe that's why he was doing the dancing.
Ooh!
And do Pete and Rich know enough about magazines to win 25,000 pounds? Episode 11. Barry threatens Noel with a mallet. Jeez.
Ow.
Okay. I'm sorry. I can't see Barry attacking anybody. Tube drivers get coy over a corset. A couple lose the way over a set of maps.
It's hard to figure out which one of those plots is the actual game.
Oh, here it comes right now. Anthony and Ashley hope to win 25,000 pounds before their game turns into a dog's dinner. But enough about whatever Barry's eating tonight. Episode 12, there's a musical interlude courtesy of a banjo, some bongos, and a man called Bert. And, oh, did you have enough of dancing when Barry did it, Greg?
Yes.
Well, too bad. You're getting more. Keith and Noel have a boogie. Keith and Noel are having a boogie. Yeah. More dancing.
No.
I think Greg wants Kelly to dance, and she's the only one who's not dancing.
Yes, I do want to see Kelly dance. I don't want more Barry dancing.
Episode 13. Sisters Lily and Liz hope to clean up with their knowledge of feather dusters. And Noel gives shop assistant Kelly a shoulder to cry on. Aww.
That's nice.
Oh, I just saw episode 14. This brings back flashbacks. I remember seeing this episode when it first aired. Barry causes a splash when one couple must choose the cheapest item of swimwear. And I'm not joking. What did Barry do? He put on a woman's bathing suit over his clothes, his work clothes.
I'm done. I'm done.
Boy.
Yeah, it makes that whole Barry dad dancing thing look really good, doesn't it, Greg?
Oh, I'm reasonably certain that it gets better, and by better I mean so much worse.
By worse, absolutely. We're halfway there. Episode 15. Noel's store goes Gallic when Barry has a French promotion. Vicky Michelle makes Barry go ooh la la as more bargain spotting contestants set their sight on a 25,000 pound jackpot. Yes, Barry had a French phase.
Oh.
This is like 10 seasons of sitcoms rolled into 30 shows. Barry's going through phases like every episode. He's dad dancing. He's got a French phase. He's putting on women's bathing suits.
They're pretty much firing up the Nick at Night and see what's on the schedule that day, and that's the show for today.
Going back to Twin Peaks for a second, I wonder at what point Barry's going to watch Dr. Jacoby on the Dr. Amp show and wonders when he's going to shovel his way out of the you-know-what.
Episode 16. Can carrots help Ian and Nick find their way to winning big money? Oh, and I mentioned this earlier. Meanwhile, odd job man Keith tries his hand at being a cameraman. And it didn't work so well.
Oh,
and if you did that over here, that would be a union violation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Episode 17. Have sisters Kelly and Kirsty bitten off more than they can chew? Oh, gosh, I just saw the end of this. Have they bitten off more than they can chew when they have to choose between the cheapest edible insect?
Did they get that from Bunzai?
No, they got that from Fear Factor. If they got it from Bonzen, then the players would have to bet on who would eat the most.
And it has to be incredibly racist, too.
And it also has to be incredibly racist, too, next episode.
Oh, and that's a callback to episode 26 from last week. Go check it out. Episode 18, Cheryl Baker pops into Noel's store to make an exchange, and will James and Sophia's knowledge of rackets get them through to the final stages of the unique game show? Episode 19, a spoon becomes a 5,000-pound conundrum for one couple. Keith hires an apprentice, and Kelly has an idea to help Noel attract a younger audience.
Oh, boy.
Cancel cheap. That'll do the trick.
No, that would not help at all. Because otherwise we'd be done with this show.
But we still have 11 episodes to go.
Exactly.
Episode 20, maybe the only name that anybody from this side of the Atlantic would know, and that would be sort of tenuous. Snooker legend Dennis Taylor comes into Noel's store to return faulty goods. And can one couple's knowledge of picnic hampers, or picnic baskets as they're called over here, help them carry home big money in the unique game show?
You're right. That is tenuous.
Picnic baskets was... why wasn't there a cameo from Yogi Bear?
Because the show's cheap.
It's cheap. There's nothing to reap.
Jeez.
And I'm a little boo-boo. Next episode.
Chico's Yogi Bear is the Nipsey Russell of bears. Oh my gosh. Episode 21. Noel welcomes more contestants to the store. Keith takes a busman's holiday. Mariana takes fashion inspiration from Noel. And Barry receives a worrying phone call from Environmental Health.
I'm sorry. Mariana takes fashion advice.
From Noel, a guy who usually wears plaid.
A guy who used to wear plaid and silken blouses with dragons on them. This same Noel.
Maybe he's a fashion icon. Who knows? The same Noel who, looks like a working dad. He's giving fashion inspiration to Mariana. Episode 22. Another visit to the eccentric store. Barry showcases his fancy dress sale with some unlikely models. Keith's dodgy DIY skills cause chaos. And Noel gets a personal trainer. And yes, I'm going to see what weird models there are for the clothing.
Oh, no.
We need to report on this.
Okay. While you figure that one out, I'm going to see what a busman's holiday is.
I'm sure it's just like a vacation of some sort, like a working man's holiday.
Probably, but okay, busman's holiday. Okay, a busman's holiday is a vacation or form of recreation that involves doing the same thing that one does at work. Example, a fire crew's Christmas outing turned into a busman's holiday when their coach caught fire. This show not only entertains, but also educates. Occasionally, yes. Mike, did you find the models yet? Because now I'm genuinely curious.
Oh wait, there's the weird models. Okay, so what the hell is this? I gotta turn on my audio.
Okay.
Please welcome our first two cameramen in fancy dress. Available to buy from the shop. Eddie and Ben.
Oh, cameramen. One of them's dressed as a pirate. The other looks like the rat from the Nutcracker.
The Rat King.
The Rat King, and there's somebody coming in who looks like a sailor. Oh, and now a cowboy. Oh, this is like and now here's one of the cameramen with a coconut bra on and a grass skirt and a rainbow lei. Oh, it's just a fashion show. That's all it is.
Funny they ask, where would they be without a sense of humor? Definitely not canceled after 30, that's for sure. Anyway!
They'd be on a better show. Episode 23, another visit to Noel's eccentric store. One couple hopes their knowledge of jeans will help them walk away with thousands, while Mariana reveals a hidden talent. She's going to save the show from cancellation. That's her talent. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that.
Episode 24. Noel Edmonds opens the doors to more contestants hoping to win 25. They're like saying the same damn thing. We're going to play for 25,000 pounds. They're just rewriting it 30 different ways.
Yes! That's
Yeah,
exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, Noel Edmonds opens the doors to more contestants hoping to win a 25,000-pound jackpot. Barry's wife, Margaret, has a favor to ask Noel, and Russell Grant comes to complain about the noise. Barry has a wife. I'm sorry, ladies. If you're really intrigued.
Wait a second. You said Barry has a wife.
Barry's wife, Margaret.
Okay.
And Margaret has a favor to ask Noel.
The character of Margaret was on Barry from Watford's stage show. Do you know who played Margaret in the stage show?
No clue.
Chico, do you know?
No idea.
Catherine Tate.
Oh! She of A,
Yes.
The Office, and B, Doctor Who. And C,
Yes.
future installments, The Catherine Tate Show.
Yeah, because we definitely have to talk about the time they did the Children in Need special with Catherine Tate's Lauren Cooper character with David Tennant, who turned out to be the Doctor.
I'm putting it on the list now.
While Chico does that, we're going to go to episode 25. 1 week to go after this. It's business as usual in the store. Kelly has a beauty emergency. Oh, gasp.
What?
Mariana causes heartbreak. Double gasp.
Double what?
And Keith invites Noel to a lad's night out. So where are Keith, Barry, and Noel going tonight?
Well, they can't go far. They still have a game show to run.
But the shop closes after every episode, so they're going someplace after the show's done, hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yes.
Well, here's the question. This shop is only open for like a half hour.
No, a full hour. This is an hour or 45 minutes.
Oh, that's right. This is an hour show. So it's like, what? Does anybody else come into this shop?
No, there's really no customers that come in. I mean, you don't hear the bell ring unless like Noel's coming in. So maybe they close the shop down to do the show.
Which would be kind of sort of weird.
Like this show isn't weird enough.
Fair point.
And we haven't gotten to the weirdest part yet. Episode 26, Noel's store opens for another day and another game of which is the cheapest. Again, you're rephrasing the same thing. Oh my gosh. Mariana plays ball, Kelly pulls a fast one, and Noel's new shoes get everyone talking.
Whoa! Noel has some new kicks.
I'm going there.
Yo, paint a word picture. What are these kicks?
What type of kicks would be appropriate for a 67-year-old man back in 2017? His kicks, they're very gaudy looking, almost like loafers.
They have dragons printed on them?
That's not terribly far from what they look like.
Oh, God, I was kidding.
Well, I can't tell what they are, but they're a variety of different colors. I see red, white, black, like a tan or a beige. And they're leather shoes. I mean, they look high quality. I don't even know how I could describe the design. I mean, they're definitely Noel Edmonds type of shoes. I mean, if he was wearing a dragon shirt, these would not clash with a dragon shirt. Let's say that.
Okay.
Sufficient?
Good enough for me.
Episode 27. Manager Barry goes fishing without leaving the store. 3 bunches of flowers could be worth 8,500 pounds, and Noel meets himself from the future.
Now it's gotten crazy.
No TARDIS involved, Greg.
I was going to say, did Noel take Ed Begley's TARDIS out for his spin?
I don't know if that would work overseas, though, because does Ed Begley's TARDIS work on 110 or 220?
Uh,
He may need a converter.
Oh,
He
boy.
made- He may need a converter to convert his tortoise from NTSC to PAL or whatever current they use.
From NTSC to PAL.
It wouldn't run on gallons of vegetable oil. It would run on liters of vegetable oil. Liters.
Yeah, because metric system.
Well, maybe since Brexit came in, maybe they've got back to imperial. So in short, I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Oh, and 27 or 28 episodes in, I'm reminded you can only use one help per question. So you can't use like all three of them on there. You can't get rid of the most expensive and reveal the price of an item. So only one per customer there per round. So you have to use all three of them essentially in 7 rounds. So now we get into episode 28. Noel Edmonds welcomes more bargain-hungry contestants to the show. I'm sorry, it's rewriting the same crap. Barry tries his hand at doing Noel's job, and there's a breakout of Kardashianitis in the store. I don't want to know what Kardashianitis is. It could be more contagious than the coronavirus.
Let's just say I hope you have some antibiotics over the counter there.
I just wonder if that means that Mariana or Kelly is going to go after a fifth-rate basketball player like Tristan Thompson. I said it. You're a fifth-rate basketball player for Tristan Thompson. I don't care if you play for my team.
Well, it could be worse. Could be Kendall Jenner.
Jeez.
Look up the GIF, ladies and gentlemen.
Episode 29. Oh, here's where it totally goes off the rails, I think. It's a busy day at the store. Noel and manager Barry are run off their feet when staff go on strike. Mariana celebrates a birthday, and Noel has a chat with a duck called Dave. And you're probably saying, what could Noel have to say to a duck named Dave?
I don't know. I literally have absolutely no idea.
Well, guess what I have queued up?
Oh, God. Okay, Mike. Hit me.
Trevor. I was trying to help Trevor. I really was.
It's Dave. Dave! Not Trevor. Tell me then.
From the Oak and Rope Company.
That's amazing.
They didn't want to know that.
What about the toilet brush?
I have a lot to say about the toilet brush, but the towel row is...
What? Don't do this again. So he's talking to a stuffed duck about the game and the toilet brush that's on offer here.
What about the toilet brush? Has anybody said anything about the toilet brush?
They're conversing about the toilet brush. What's more expensive, an aluminum towel rack, a giant toilet paper roll holder at that probably holds, I'm guessing probably like 18 rolls of toilet paper. It's huge. Or a toilet brush in a metal tin, a metal container.
What could Noel and company possibly do to just wrap this whole enterprise up, I wonder?
Well, we're getting to that right now. Episode 30. The doors open for the last time in this series. Aww.
Wait. Remember, this is British. So instead of series, you could say season. But we all really know it's series.
But it's not wrong in this case if you go with the other definition. Noel makes the most of a dress-down Friday, and when Barry is short-staffed, the temp agency sends Lionel Blair along to lend a hand. And as I mentioned earlier, this episode had the sole 25,000-pound victory in the entire series. Did they do anything special? No. Like I said, all the crew members, the cast members, they hugged the couple that won, the 2 people that won. So did Noel. So did the other contestants. And then they got sent off. And let's bring up 2 more contestants to play. I almost said Deal or No Deal. 2 more contestants Don't you wish it was Deal or No Deal? 2 more people to play Cheap, Cheap, Cheap. Oh my! But there's a couple of things that Greg mentioned earlier. Just the weirdness. Yeah, it's the second weirdest show on TV, next to Twin Peaks, as somebody said. But some of the reviews I have up is Noel Edmonds' Cheap, 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 the most tragically weird show ever made. Tragically weird.
No, normally is that the headline?
That's the headline.
Okay, normally Betteridge's Law would apply in this case, but not in this case.
It's a weird show. And actually, the first sentence even says it. A little birdie may have told you about Cheap, Cheap, Cheap. The new Noel Edmonds afternoon quiz set to push Twin Peaks all the way for the title of the year's weirdest television series. It's right there in the first line of the story. The Cheap, Cheap, Cheap comparison to Twin Peaks. And Greg is dead.
I am dead.
In short, it kind of reminds you of what would happen if Noel Edmonds was the guy running the counter on future installment. Open all night, open all night, open all night, open all night, open all night.
Yes,
Sorry,
that's coming later this summer. Yes. Oh, it's just all these articles. Just they say this is a bad show, but also just something I want to add, and we haven't even mentioned. We mentioned that Noel Edmonds created the show, but what company produced the show? You're not going to believe this. Hat Trick Productions, who, if you don't know, is behind Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yep.
Have I Got News for You?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about a quality production company which has had success for decades. I mean, you're talking about Have I Got News for You? That's been on the BBC in one form or another for 30 years. And Whose Line
has been on somewhere in the world for over 30 years.
And at least in America, it's coming on almost 20 years, since we have that little about 6-year gap between the ABC family, where they sort of like put the scraps together, and the CW version. The CW version's been on 7 years. Wow. But yeah, so every production company has a bad show. I just don't think many of them have any as bad as Cheap, Cheap, Cheap. Plus, also, just to show how bad Cheap, Cheap, Cheap was in the ratings, can either of you guess how many people in the United Kingdom, and we're talking about not just England, we're talking about Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, how many people saw, what was the low number in terms of ratings? How many people saw an episode that was rated, or that was rated for like Nielsen type ratings? How many people do you think saw it? And maybe I should give you a baseline. Let me give you a baseline as to the population of the UK. So approximately there are 66.5 million people in the United Kingdom. So we're talking about roughly 1/5 the United States population. So how many of those, how many viewers did an episode of Cheap, Cheap, Cheap have at one point?
45,000.
Not that
70,000.
Greg's much closer. 80,000 people. 80,000 viewers.
That's a no bueno.
That's no bueno, especially when you compare it to Deal or No Deal, which I think easily got millions of viewers per day. I mean, again, it was a show that ran for 11 years. Noel was beloved. It wasn't handled the same way our Deal or No Deal was. It was more or less almost like a serial of sorts, because you didn't have just one contestant pick the briefcases from models. You had the other contestants holding the briefcases, and then one would get chosen every day. So you might have somebody who's on the show 30 or 40 episodes until they get picked.
Yeah, this was the syndicated version of Deal or No Deal before the syndicated version of Deal or No Deal was the syndicated version of Deal or No Deal.
Well, but the syndicated version of Deal or No Deal was one set of contestants for the week. Literally, you'd have contestants who would be on this show for 30 or 40 episodes. I think I remember reading somewhere that one contestant was on like 45 episodes before they were chosen. And then to make matters worse, I think that contestant won the 1 pence. So they gave up days or weeks of their life, their job, and they won 1 pence. The equivalent of like 1 penny over here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not like the U.S. Deal or No Deal the way we did it. But, yeah, it was very compelling TV. Must-watch TV. If you've never seen the British version, find it. It's a great show. A lot better, I think, than the U.S. version. But anyhow, that was cheap, cheap, cheap. It was bad, bad, bad. But
it was strange, strange, strange.
But you know what it also was, Chico?
Cheap, cheap, cheap. It was a thing on TV.
At least it was a thing on TV overseas. So, as always, look us up online. We're at itwasathingontv.com. We've got our previous episodes there. We've got links to our social media. We've got an email address, contact@itwasathingontv.com. Please let us know if you like the show. We're hearing more and more feedback from new listeners. We appreciate it. And also, please
call back from last week. We got sort of a like from one Ralph Garman.
Yes, we did get a celebrity like. Ralph Garman liked our posts regarding the Joe Schmo show. So victory to us! Yay, we got a celebrity.
Special shout out to Ralph Garman.
We love the smarmy host. Don't we love the smarmy host, guys?
Yes, we do.
But beyond Ralph Garman, we've gotten feedback from a number of new listeners. We really appreciate it. Also, don't forget, like and subscribe, rate and review. We've got rated on Apple Podcast. We have a 5 out of 5 rating. Yay! Well, only one.
You're welcome, by the way. You're welcome, by the way.
You did that?
That was me. I figured somebody's got to get the ball rolling, right?
I feel like such a whore now. Okay. You can rate and review on Apple Podcasts. We've got more visibility at some of the places that you can find us. Stitcher, we're pretty easy to find. Actually, if you just do a search on television, we're like in the second or third batch of listings for television, which is a pretty broad category. So that's nice if you use Stitcher. On Podbean, very easy to find us. Under the category TV, we're under TV reviews. And a number of times, we're one of the first, 6 or 7 podcasts that pop up. Plus also, we have a subtitle now for this podcast. What we go by now officially is, and this is to get more listeners, It Was a Thing on TV, an anthology on forgotten television. Which truly, that's what this is. We cover TV that people may have forgotten about or just didn't run long, or people wish they forgot. And we've done a good job thus far, I think. 28 episodes in, and we only have about 1,000 more submissions to go, so we should be done sometime, probably about 2031 at this pace. And that's all we have for this episode of It Was a Thing on TV. We'll be back later on this week with another episode. Thanks again for listening. And then we're going to put in the whole clip with, Craig, you got your match game in my Hollywood Squares. Mike, you got your match game in my you got your Hollywood Squares in my match game. Two great tastes that go great together. And so we're going to do that again. Hey, Greg, Hey, Greg, you got your game show in my sitcom.
Mike, you got my sitcom in my game show.
No, you got your sitcom in my game show.
No, you got my game show and my sitcom.
No, but you said you got my sitcom in my game show. How could we do that? Okay, Greg. Okay, apparently Chico has a little frog in his throat.
Okay.
Greg, you got your game show in my sitcom.
Mike, you got my sitcom in my game show.
No, you got my sitcom in my game show.
Oh, wait.
Okay, we found the ending at least.
Okay. Yeah. Once again, I mess up. Okay. How's this joke gonna go?
Okay.
Greg. Greg, you got your game show in my sitcom.
Okay.
Mike, you got your sitcom in my game show. You
That's
just need to say your. You're saying you got yours or my sitcom in my game show.
Okay, it's my. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now the Tom Poston episode is next. Is after this one, correct?
This is like Abbott and Costello type shit right here.
This is going on the outtake episode.
This is for the outtake episode. Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Take 3. I think. Greg, you got your game show in my sitcom.
Mike, you got my sitcom
No!
in your game.
No, you got no sitcom.
Well, dub it in. No, well,
Am I
dub it in.
supposed? Okay, am I supposed to say sitcom?
Okay, Mike says. Okay, listen, Greg, listen.
Okay.
Mike says you have your game show in my sitcom.
Yes.
You say you have your sitcom in my game show.
Okay, your sitcom in my. I thought I already said that. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Take
Go
5.
ahead. Go.
Right.
Hey, Chico, we better get take 5 ready. Okay.
Okay.
Greg, you got your game show in my sitcom.
Mike, you got your sitcom in my game show.
Hallelujah!
All right, so
And
let's.
now I
All right.
come in and say,
All right.
¿Por qué no los dos?